We're on. So if you're a frequent listener to the podcast, you watch it, I have one or two rules. One of them is I only really interview exceptional human beings. Exceptional people that have done great things in optics, and I am so excited. This has taken months in the planning to get Elaine here. Whether you've heard of her or not, you're certainly in the next 20 minutes going to know who she is. Elaine, welcome.
Hey, how are you?
I've always got the feeling you're globe-trotting and you're in rainy Manchester probably.
In rainy Manchester, you're right. And actually, I'm in rainy Manchester upstairs because downstairs where my office is, it's making a noise with the rain on the...
I'm 53 years old, 52, and I've never been to Manchester and it not rain. Fact. And I go a lot.
It's really, really nice. This spring and has been horrendous. So, but I don't think it's just in Manchester. So
now, you're a first. We've never had an animal on the podcast, and we should that beauty Labrador, right?
No, this. My Labrador's downstairs, and he's a bit portly. But this is my German Shepherd, who we adopted 18 months ago.
Well, so, yeah, if we ever do this again, we'll meet the Labrador. She's got her favourite toy there. I can see. Oh,
just hoping the window cleaner doesn't go past because they have to stop everything, and she'll get very excited. But yeah, that's her place.
The format of this has always been discovering a career, and if you don't mind, you're a dispensing optician. You've got lots of accolades. You're an academic. Your career is so interesting. But do you mind if we start at the start? What got you into optics?
Sure. In my school days, I played hockey, and I couldn't play hockey wearing glasses with glass lenses in, which is what I had at the time. So I persuaded my dad to let me have contact lenses. And there's a guy called Ross Maskell in Manchester who was very... he was on the scene at the time. He was the guy who was giving all the lectures for Bausch and Lomb and Cooper and everybody else in those days. And I really, really was sort of obsessed with him. And he showed me everything and explained everything. And I got with him. And I decided from that time I wanted to be an optometrist, not a DO. And I got a place at Cardiff to do optometry. And I'm waiting for my results during the summer. And I don't get the grade in my maths. Yeah.
Can I say selfishly, thank God that you didn't do optometry?
It was more interesting than maths. Anyway, and I had the opportunity to either go back and do it again, which there was no guarantees, or Ross very kindly offered to pay for me to the day release course at Bradford if I would stay on and be a DO in the practice.
Wow.
Or train to be a DO.
How old are you at this point? You're 19? 18,
yeah.
19. So I entered optics a similar age, and I never look back from my very first day. Do you remember your first day?
I remember getting my summer job, and I remember sort of always going in for 6 monthly checks, that kind of thing. And that was my sort of tie-in with the practice. And my family had been sort of patients at this practice like forever, my grandma and other people. But the day I officially started, it just kind of all blended.
But humble beginnings, right? You didn't know one end of a PD rule to the other. You didn't know about pantoscopic tills. You literally started and
Absolutely.
What a career. What a career. So then what happens? So you start, you get on the calls, you're inspired by these life-changing contact lenses. Just to give the audience a idea, what kind, were you myopic? Are you hypermetropic? Where was your prescription? All right, so your hockey would have improved, and to eye coordination.
I love that he was an educator. He was a natural educator, and he was famous, you know.
Do you know what frustrates me? We hire people because they've got tons of experience. And literally, I think I could train people quicker than a bad habit. And in our industry, I wish the training was just a little bit better to encourage people to grow. There's many receptionists out there that still don't know how to tighten a pair of glasses, or just a DO to show them would be good, or to start a collection, or training. Really, it frustrates me that it doesn't grow in the practice. Everyone sharing knowledge.
Yeah, I was very lucky. It was a training environment. So, and it was also a people-centered environment. And Bill, Ross's dad, he was coming up to retirement, and he was really happy to give me the opportunity to do all the things that he didn't want to do. He was quite happy bookkeeping in the back.
Oh my God! So he was just handing you this stuff. So you pass your DO calls. Then what? Then where do you go? What's the next steps?
Believe it or not, I qualified in 1985. It's been 41 years. And those days were the days when progressive lenses weren't as popular, obviously, as they are now. And people were just...
It's the comfort, right? There wasn't much. AO Pro 15 and a comfort lens, and there wasn't much choice.
Well, it was Varilux too. It was even before.
Everyone was wearing bifocals. Everybody was wearing bifocals. And when the Optom came out, they would say bifocals, and you'd try your best to say, well, there's this new thing. And then they wouldn't listen. The Optom was wearing bifocals as well. It really, for those younger than us listening, truly, if you were presbyopic, 90% of the people just wore bifocals or two separate pairs. It really was early days.
People were entitled to get a pair of bifocals, and we still had the 524 and the 924 and other lovely NHS frames and things, but people didn't have the experience with varifocals, and it meant that mistakes were made, and if mistakes were made, that was quite a financial hit for the practice in those days. And in those days, Essilor only had 3 people who they didn't have a big sales force. They had people who visited labs, and they had 3 people on the road who were teaching and who were called lens consultants. And what they did was that the optician who had a patient who couldn't see out of their Varilux lenses phoned Essilor and said, can the expert come and see my patient? Because he knew if that happened, we'd change lenses free. But it was also an opportunity for Essilor
get some yeah.
And so that's what I wanted to do. And there was a guy called Graham Briley who was in the north who had that job, and he was moving into other things, and I applied for it, and their answer was at the time, it's not a job for the good old days.
Well, one of my bosses said to me I wouldn't hire a woman when I first started with him. I said, why? He said that they could get pregnant and leave. We cannot believe how much our industry has changed hugely. And I would always sorry.
I don't think they were worried about us, going off and having babies. It was the travelling, because the area was from the top of to the top of Scotland, the Isle of Man and Northern Ireland. So, and don't forget, in those days, there were no mobile phones. There was no GPS.
Oh, right, okay.
Phone. You had a boot full of A to Zs. And I don't think women had a very good press for map reading in those days, or for driving.
It's just so sexist that you wouldn't get that now. I always felt sorry for my female colleagues that were optometrists, and people would look to me before they've spoken to the optometrist. But it's not like that anymore. Very rarely do you see a sexist person walk in the practice. It's just, and you were an innovator. You led the way for women.
A little bit. There wasn't many of us at the time. There was the people before me, but it it was good, and I threw myself into that. I got to visit sort of all the optometry and opticianry departments, and that's when I knew that we had to bring them together. Because, for instance, in Bradford, there's an opticianry department, there's an optometry department, but they didn't really get together, and there was parts of the curriculum that obviously overlapped. So that's when I got Essilor to do the University and College Symposium, which brought all the lecturers together in September or end of August.
The hairs on the back of my neck are standing up at that fact that you were such an innovator and you made it happen. Like we are so lucky to have you in our as a DO, and this is why I've been chasing you for months, because you are one of the best dispensing opticians on the planet. And I just wanted that story to come out and how you managed to blend things together. So you're now with Essilor. Amazing. Well, then what happens?
So then I was poached by Paris.
Oh.
So head office came knocking in Paris. And first of all, the Mark Alexander, who was a brilliant guy. He was the guy who put Varilux into the UK. And he asked me to go over there, and the only way we could do it at the time, because there was nobody coming from the subsidiaries into Essilor head office either. It was people went out of Paris to subsidiaries, but they didn't come from subsidiaries into Paris, and so we did it as a job swap first. So I left my place to a Frenchman.
And your French is, I've heard you speak French. It's amazingly good. It wasn't at first. You've had to practice. Okay. Wow.
So that was a leap of faith, and for them and for me. So I started in something called Marketing Europe. So we looked after the European subsidiaries and any new product developments we put into there. But because I spoke English as my first language, they sent me to English-speaking countries. So it wasn't just Europe. So, for example, I spent 6 months in South Africa in 1989, and that was when Manifesto was in prison. And it was one of those things where I had to stop our distributor running off with solar. I had to keep him with Essilor, and then I had to prepare the ground for making South Africa a subsidiary. So they gave me a list of opticians in South Africa, a Fiat Panda that had no air conditioning in it. They gave me a flat, which was in downtown Johannesburg.
And it's not a safe place now. Were you not terrified of Jailberg? They say, I met a patient once and he said he walked in a street in Johannesburg and he was robbed 3 times from the beginning to the end of the thing.
Well, you could hear the gunfight at night, and I was
oh my God.
Kind of half hotel flats, if you like, and I'd get home late, but there was no other white people in this part of Johannesburg, and they were lovely, but in this particular area, it was kind of guns and prostitutes.
Do you know, Elaine, before you agreed to come on, and before this interview, you've exceeded. I'm just so impressed with your career up to now. And we haven't even reached anywhere near where you are today. So, wow. So you hit South Africa. Well, then what happens?
South Africa, cried when I left. I mean, it was just the
beautiful place, right?
Most amazing place, most amazing people. Loved it. Still got in South Africa today. Essilor did and make a subsidiary there. I went from.
Have you got a partner now? In South Africa, is there a partner? Are you on your own? Are you?
No, there's a proper subsidiary.
No. I mean a romantic partner in South Africa. Have you all gone on your own? Are you there by yourself?
I'm not there on my own.
All right, I just wanted to know. So you're literally this trailblazing female, knowledgeable optician. So you finished South Africa. You're dealing with the biggest lens company in the world. Wow. Then what?
So go to lots of other countries as well. I then move into sort of more strategic marketing. So I become the marketing manager for single vision lenses. And so polycarbonate was on their
Oh,
radar at the
oh,
time.
what year are we talking?
We're probably talking 1991, 1990, something like
I
that.
was encouraged to say this is the same material as helicopter windscreens, and it was so new, and it scratched easily, and there's lightweight, and the V
Well,
value is terrible, and
teams really that would stick, and that's why we had ties with Gentex and Neolens in the States, but we didn't. Nobody wanted it in Europe.
well, it's horrible to glaze. It's
That's
horrible,
right.
horrible. V value is 30, right? My book's 30. It's really low, yeah.
He does this huge marketing campaign. He launches a lens called Defying in French.
There's IE.
Defying is a mid-index lens that's cheap, and he can sell 2 for 1 or whatever. And he does this marketing campaign, and it's polycarbonate.
159.
And he suddenly, we've got something on the top there. What haven't we got a polycarbonate lens?
Oh my God.
Because Alan Affle's just launched this thing, and it's all over the TV, and it's and we're not there, and it's because nobody really.
Can you tell me about the culture of Essilor? They're obviously very ambitious. They want to be the number one. And has it always been that way? I'm so lucky to have met the man that invented progressives. He even, and is he still alive? It was a long time ago I met him.
No, Bernard Maitenaz died probably about 5 or 6 years ago.
God rest his soul. He didn't speak any English, and he always needed a translator. And I was on the Abbe board at the time, and everyone was asking him really smart questions, really clever. And it was my turn to ask him a question. I didn't know what to say. I said to him, why is the difference between the dots 34? And he said, no one's ever asked me that before. I said, okay. And he said, just I like the number.
It was random. Yeah.
He liked the number. There you go. And now all lenses have 34 distance.
I can tell you that Naz is one of the guys who influenced my career the most. You know, unassuming men you could possibly.
Wonderful man, lovely smile. He had time.
His brother married Mrs. Maitenaz's sister.
What?
Yep. And they lived just near Stanmore, which was where the research department was for Essilor at the time. They lived on the banks of the Marne, and they had a big house, and they split the house in two so that the two families and all the grandchildren could grow up together.
I love that. What was the culture of Essilor? They really wanted to. Were they ambitious? They wanted to grow, and they wanted to be the first. It was a good culture.
It was the best culture, and it was a family culture, and the employees had a voice, and employees were respected, from the lady who sent the faxes at night to get to Asia, the lady on my third floor, Jeanette, who did that every night. She sent the faxes. Mr. Mass would walk the corridors, he'd come and see me when
Incredible.
when I did what was going on. Mr. Maitenaz was the president at the time, and Gerard Cotte was the managing director, and he was very. Mr. Maitenaz was more scientific. Gerard Cotte was more business. And it was wonderful, wonderful culture. And then it needed stepping up. if you like, it needed to be shaken up a little bit because obviously commerce was changing around the world, and we're getting more and more competitive.
How thick was that Essilor catalogue at the time? Because now it's this thick. There's so many options. Was
Yeah.
it? We didn't have. Was it a huge portfolio at the time? You just got polarized. So you just got polycarb. Was it? It probably wasn't.
It grew a lot, and the number of progressive lenses grew, and the number of indices grew, and collaboration with material people who make the materials in the Far East.
One of my favourite people in our industry, one of my favourite people in the world is Andy Hepworth. And I always enjoyed his lectures because he'd say page 76, the third paragraph. He knew that whole catalogue inside out. He said, "You're familiar with page 101," he'd say. And it was so fun. You said to me that you have 5 people, or 4 or 5, that have really shaped your career. Do you mind if we just explore that? Because I promised you this wouldn't take 20, this would be around 20 minutes. Already we've had half an hour. And I have to stick to my values. If you're willing to do a part 2 and take this career, but I think we should recognize the 4 or 5 people that have shaped your career.
Yeah, so there's 4 or 5 people who shaped my career. First of all was Mark. Mark Alexander brought me from the UK to France. And I mean, I think out of all the years that I spent in optics, those years were the best. So from 1989 to 2001 was amazing. Working with Bernard Maitenaz, having the chance to see him from afar and then get to know him as a person and a friend, because we were friends up to the time he passed away, and I'd been on the phone to him 2 weeks before he passed away, and since that time with his family, and I was happy to be able to organise a posthumous award for him through the International Opticians Association. Mo, I'm so sad that Mo has just recently passed. I'll be going down to his funeral at the end of the month. But Mo and I collaborated through Essilor, and I was so lucky to, because I was frightened to meet Mo. You know, it was the Red Book.
The Red Book, yeah, that's the original. That's the first edition. If you're wondering, it's another color now. You know, I'm in the circuit for speaking, and I had the CET lecture in Southampton, somewhere, Kent, I don't know where it was, and he was speaking first. And I've never been so scared to follow Mo Jaley. Wow. So he's a legend. He's a legend.
Well, we to go on and do great things. And I was very lucky to get to know him and his family. And
him and Frank Norville are quite similar, because when they talk, they think in images. They would talk and they would explain things, and I was completely lost. But he would be in a world of engineering in his brain. He's so good, such a good teacher. Well, what are your memories of what would you say were your favourite memories of the man?
When he discovered how to use ballpoint. When he started writing these PowerPoint lectures, and he had the lens with all the different sort of lines on, and he had this little man pointing to things when he first started, and we were together when he discovered that he could do that, because in the day we wrote CD-ROMs together for the universities and colleges.
I think I've got mine, because it came with the book, the CD-ROM.
Yeah, it was even before that.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Before that. And yeah, so I was very lucky to sort of work with him. And actually, I asked him to join the faculty at Varilux University in Paris as well. So he was coming out to Paris every couple of weeks to lecture, which was lovely. It was great. And that was on the optics side, but then on the optics, because my job eventually at Essilor was being their global international professional relations person for optometry and optics.
If you're watching this and you're a dispensing optician and you're thinking, I'm so limited, I'm working for a big chain, I can't do much, I really want you to look at Elaine's career. It's not, this could be you. You could apply for these things. You can do these things. You're only limited. Sorry? If you were scared to go to South Africa, if you were scared to take the rep job, I know, and I can say this on behalf of the females in my life, because it was actually told to me today. It's a fact that men blag things more than women. So men will go for a job that they might not be entirely qualified for and women won't. So to all my female colleagues that are bored being dispensing opticians, there is so much more than just a contact lens course or a low vision course. You can do other things. Go and discover these things. LinkedIn, Essilor, look at the vacancies, Rodenstock, Zeiss are huge. Anyone you want. We're not working for Essilor. I'm not working for Essilor, but I'm saying that everyone has an opportunity.
Companies, big companies. Limitless.
It really is.
It's different if you've got a family, and that's one of the reasons I left to come back to the UK. It's a great opportunity, and I think that the best thing for me was being able to meet all these inspirational people in other places. And the fourth person who inspired me was Irving Borish. So Professor Borish is the godfather of modern optometry in the US.
Wow.
He's the emeritus professor of many different universities in the US. He's the guy politically who put optometry on the map in the US. And he was a great inspiration to a great many people. And I'm so honoured to have got to work with Irv, because again, we started collaborating and writing together. We wrote a book for China.
Wow.
We wrote CD-ROMs and things as well. And he wrote a book which is it's like the principles of ophthalmic lenses, but for optometry. It's called Clinical Refraction. And clinical refraction was the Bible of optometry. And he signed my copy, and he put to my professionally adopted daughter. And I know that he had 3 professionally adopted daughters. There was me, there was Professor Sarita Sonic from University in Bloomington. She was really his protege, and she's a wonderful optometrist and lecturer and researcher. And the other one was my good friend Danny Ventura, who was the professional relations person in the States for many years. And so the 3 of us were very honoured to be able to work with Irv. I've got quite a few paintings from Irv because he's also an artist. And one of the first portraits that he did was of my daughter. So I have in my living room huge, great big painting that he painted of Lana, which is very dear to me. And he died when he was 99. He didn't quite reach 100, which was quite sad. And the 5th person to inspire me, and someone I have an awful lot of respect for, is Tony Garrett, who was the person in charge of Abbe, who brought Abbe on from being in a backwater somewhere in, I don't know, Watford or somewhere, and brought it into the professional organisation that it is today. So yeah, those are the 5 people who really inspired me. But there's lots more stories. I know you haven't got time.
You brought your career to life, and I'm very grateful to this. To you, I really only borrowed 20 minutes of your time, and we easily have overrun that. Would you consider coming back a second time sometime that fits into your diary? Because there's so much more to say. The awards, the things that you do, the traveling. Do you think in a nutshell you could say where you are now and where what you're doing now, just so to bring us up to date?
So in the past 5 years, I did a a BSc Vision Science. So I got a first BSc in Vision Science. And then I
Wow.
went on to do a Master's in Dementia, where I got distinction for that.
Well, let's just stop there just for a moment, because I was very impressed with your lecture that was inspired by your mum that passing away. Do you mind if we just talk about that just for a moment? Because dementia runs in my family. My granddad had dementia. It's something really important to you and me. Can we just, a dispensing optician, a grassroots dispensing optician, what do they know about? They probably know very little. So
It's just dispensing opticians or optometrists, or in fact ophthalmologists for that matter. I think it's healthcare professionals in general. My experience was that people don't see the person anymore once you have the label that you have dementia. There's lots of things to show that we all have preconceived ideas about what dementia is, but we don't actually have a lived experience, and we don't actually have training how to make things better for a person who's living with dementia. And we don't necessarily know about the 14 different modifiable risk factors, and we don't necessarily know that if we correct their vision, then we are hitting one of those modifiable risk factors. And actually hearing is another one, and hearing is even more impactful than vision. But we as healthcare professionals have a role to play in, one, making sure maybe that people don't get dementia as early, and if they do have it, that it doesn't progress as much, to improve the quality of life and to keep them independent for longer. Because what people want is to stay in their own home for as long as possible. And also what people need, the patients and the people who are supporting them, is hope. And as soon as that diagnosis hits, hope goes out the window. And I'm a firm believer that we as a profession have a role to play in bolstering people who have the condition and in support to move forward. So I'm really happy that the NICE guidelines came out, and last year I think it was, to say that once you have a dementia diagnosis, you should go and have a sight test. And then we will have a baseline, and then we will keep on top of.
And we are primary care. And I don't know very many people that work in our profession that aren't empathetic. So that anybody that walks in and they've got signs of dementia, being kind to them, looking after them, it's such a lovely thing to do. And throughout my career, there's been people that come in, they do a dispense for £2,000, and then you can tell they've got dementia. You just put it on hold until the next day, and then they've changed their mind. You phone. It will happen to you if you haven't got to a point where you're dealing with someone with dementia. It just gets dealt with kindness, and you'll see the signs. And please do research. Thank you for that was a bit planned, but I wanted to speak about dementia and your mum and leave a legacy there. So what else are you doing? We last met in Paris in real life. There was some awards for the best optician in the world, and you were hosting this great award ceremony. What's that about?
Yeah, so we do that every year as the IOA. So the International Opticians Association has been around for quite a few years now, probably about, I don't know, I want to say about 40 years more. And that has for mission to enhance and develop the optical profession around the world. And as part of that, we have the International Optician of the Year Award. So they're shortlisting at the moment for this year.
People can enter. Do they self-nominate? Do you have to put someone else's name? Can you self-nominate? You can't. It has to be by somebody who's worked with you.
It can really be a patient, because the questions are a bit technical to get through to the nomination stage. But then afterwards, once we contact you and say, hey, you've been shortlisted, then you can go away and get tested.
Well, in the show notes, if you look at the show notes after this has been released, I will put a link to, if you feel that someone in your world deserves recognition, please do it. That would be really kind. And where
title. So at the moment, the present International Optician of the Year is a guy called Blair Wong.
He's amazing.
And he teaches the New England College of Optometry, and he's optician, and he's amazing. So
He is amazing. He can only see hand movement, as far as I know. I can see that. In truly inspiring individual. He's a great optician. What has the next year, 12 months got planned for you? Is there any big projects that you're working on, or is
well, I'm freelance at the moment, but I'm freelance but working with Silmo as their scientific director. So I look after the research bursary for them, and also putting education, working with different associations to bring speakers that maybe they don't have the chance to bring themselves.
I loved, my feet were tired. I'd landed in Paris, I'd gone around, and I plonked myself in with the lectures. And the first one was about AI in optics. And I was, wow, this person is amazing. I ended up staying so many lectures because they were so brilliant. I thought that the panel of lecturers that you hired were fantastic, really engaging. It was really, really good. So thank you. I'm looking forward to whoever you bring on board next year.
I think actually
that was really good.
It goes around all the different shows. It has a soul, I think, that other exhibitions don't have, other conferences don't have. We get about 37,000 visitors to Paris every year. Half of those are national. And there's just so much.
I love being on the train, on the metro. You land, you get on the train, and you see the coolest people with the coolest frames, and it's so obvious who is in optics on the underground. You say hi, Silmo, and it's just so brilliant. And I love people watching. The people watching. What's the coolest frame that everyone's walking around with is just great. And I remember I opened in 2004, my first opticians. In 2005, I got all my opticians, everyone that worked for me, and we went to Paris. And if you, look, there's a guy, Steve Jobs, you know him. He's no longer with us. Yeah. He says, if you employ people that are enthusiasts of your product, you can't go wrong. If you don't love frames and lenses, why are you working in optics? If you don't love people, it's not for you. So if you fill your practice with people that absolutely love frames and lenses and people, you can't go wrong. So I took them to Paris, and they came back so energized and so excited. So it's still just as exciting to take your team. So if you're listening to this, go and see Elaine in Paris.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, just to go back, it's not just sort of all the creators, and now we've got designers that we give an award to as well. It's the Silmo Neck, and actually everything to do with AI and smart glasses and the evolution that's coming. You have one or two products on the market, but what you need to do is go to the Silmo Next now and see what's going to happen tomorrow, because we're not ready as a profession.
No, we are not.
What's going to happen.
When I say to people with smart glasses, I'm very lucky that I paired with Luxottica. We were the first independent opticians in London to have smart glasses. And everyone around me is saying, we're not ready. It's not ready. I think that you're ahead of your time. We're not. The number one supplier of people that buy these smart glasses are people that are partially sighted. Honestly, please go and have a look. If you haven't got, it doesn't have to be Meta. We're not in bed with anyone here. There's lots and lots of choice, and go and look at it. It's really fun.
There's a lot of the healthcare sort of benefit coming along that we will be involved with, I hope. And I say I hope because I hope it stays in the sector.
Yes.
It isn't displaced.
I agree with that.
Like a phone shop.
Oh my God.
So, just changing trees and trying to adjust these things. And that's something on a political level, because I'm also on the board of ECU, that we have to look at as a sector.
Indeed.
So-
I don't know if you know this about me, but I was the first optician in the world to have Facebook. Now, I didn't know this. Facebook and Meta contacted me and did a case study. What I find frustrating with us is we're not innovation led. So thank God for people like you and Essilor and pushing it like Sotica, because really that's what keeps the patient there. Richard Branson, someone who inspires me, says every time somebody uses Virgin, it should be slightly better. I enter practices and they've got the same furniture as 1980 and they're still doing the same thing, and all they've got is a slit lamp without a camera. And you, that practice, if you are, please look at what's going on. Things are changing really quickly and nothing to be scared about.
No. But you need to mix and mingle with like-minded people who want to push boundaries and take the sector forward. Well, and you can only do that.
Have you heard of this thing called Dr. Noon? Incredible. Dr. Noon. Noon in Korean means eye. And they take a fundus picture of you. They take a picture of the back of your eye, and the nerves and the arteries back there can predict within a really high accuracy if you're going to have a heart attack or heart problems, conditions. And we've got this, and it's all over Korea, and it's hardly any opticians in the UK have got it. It's a no-brainer. Take a picture, you tell someone if they've got cardiac problems.
Dementia as well.
Correct.
That's what's being done at UCL Moorfields. So yeah, we need to keep ahead.
This isn't sci-fi. If you're watching this saying it's not coming for ages, it's here, and get in there quick. For me, I'm on a bandwagon for colour vision deficiency, colour blindness. There's a Hungarian company that they've managed to get a lens that's a medical device now. There's no need to not serve our patients, but it's all new. Don't be afraid. I'm like, Elaine, I could talk to you for another hour, but I'm very respectful of your time. Wrapping things up, if you're watching this and you're an optometrist and your dispensing isn't so sharp and you just leave it to the DOs, or you're a trainee or a pre-reg DO, what message have you got? You're just amazing. You're the top of our profession. There's no doubt about that.
I think it's all about lifelong learning, but not just lifelong learning to get CPD points, lifelong learning to other cultures, and speaking to people like yourself, Gary, and other professionals who are passionate about what we do, and to get inspired and to come out of your silo, basically.
You've filled me. They talk about in motivational talking about how full is your cup, and mine is overspilling with just being in your presence for a few hours. I'm not just saying that. With podcasting, you can make comments down below. I'm sure I'll get all your comments to Elaine. This has been amazing to document where you are. I'd love to ask you back for a second one. We just scratched the surface. If you've watched this and enjoyed it, thank you very much. And they call that a pod. We're done.
Thanks, Gary. Lovely.
That was awesome. All right, so I'm going to stop recording.